Hey everybody, welcome back. Steve Basic here from the Build Show Network. I'm out here on the job site again with Green Logic and good buddy Dana. They're doing a fabulous job out here. And today we're going to talk about sub-slab and basement insulation and how we maintain continuity across the underside of the slab and then come up that foundation wall on the inside. So we put together just a little minor mock-up here. You can see we have two layers of XPS. XPS is extruded polystyrene. We're actually going to use EPS under there, but because of getting materials on the job site on time, we're still waiting. The delivery is supposed to be here, but hasn't made it yet. But anyways, it doesn't really matter, EPS, XPS. The important thing is about getting some insulation under there. So in this case, you can see that we intentionally left the concrete footing. We held the stone down 2 inches, and that allows us to get that flush condition with our first layer of rigid insulation. And then we come across with our second layer of insulation on the top of that, and that'll go all the way to the wall as it's shown here in the mock-up. How we'll finish that is we'll have a piece that comes up. Now, a lot of times guys will just cut this at that 4-inch slab height here, and then we'll start with a different insulation on the wall. Typically we use a Thermax product because it has to be rated for exposure. This we can't leave exposed in the basement. We need that foil face of the Thermax to leave it uncovered. So we're going to move to that, but it's still a 2-inch rigid insulation, so it's pretty much the same as the mock-up. But you can see the slab will come in, get poured to here, brought up to that line. We'll run our rigid insulation up to the top of the wall, and then at the top of the wall we'll switch. We'll do a spray foam at that band joist area, and then that'll connect to the insulation up above. But that way there we maintain total continuity, one of my favorite words, underneath or down the wall and under the slab. Let's jump back to the studio. We'll break out a detail and we'll talk a little bit more. See you there. Hey everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that trip out there, Green Logic Builders. Doing a heck of a job. You can see we did our little mock-up there. It's interesting that we're still waiting on getting our insulation for the sub slab, but the XPS was readily available, so we went and got that just so we could do the mock-up for you, because we knew we were going to be out there filming that. Anyways, got a detail here. Got our good friend Big Red. Let's dive in and talk sub-slab insulation. All right, so broke out this detail from the project. When we were out there, remember we saw the inside face of the foundation wall. You had the footing. Of course, that gets completed on that side. And the Green Logic guys had that stone nicely leveled out to a couple inches below the top of the slab there. And the reason for that is that allows us to get that 2-inch layer up to the top of the footing, and then we complete another 2-inch layer. We stagger the joints, and that gets turned up at the slab perimeter. So we get another 2 inches there for a 4-inch total. Notice we have our perimeter drain here. That we talked about in last week's video, so if you missed it, go through and you can see that one where we talk about sub-slab water management. It's like, how fast can you write, right? Sub-slab water management. But anyways, this week we're talking about sub-slab insulation. So we have the first layer there, the second layer there. The joints get staggered. They get staggered by virtue of getting this 7-inch staggered relationship here by climbing out over the top of the footing and then turning up here, and then later we'll receive that 2-inch wall insulation here. That'll get installed at a later date. But the key here is we have this concrete slab here
And we have the outside at some kind of temperature, and we have the ground at some kind of temperature, and we have the basement at a desired temperature. I use rounded off numbers. So you can see across here, or across the assembly, we have a 15-degree delta, and across the assembly here, we have a 15-degree delta. So the question is, how do we battle that? Well, we battle it by putting the 2 layers underneath, and then we do the layer up the wall. Now, the first question that probably comes to mind is, why did we do 4 inches here, and why did we only do 2 inches here? Well, the reality is that things that happen under the slab, I get one chance to do it, one time. Up here, I can do things like, if I come in that basement and want to finish it later, then I can add a 2x4 wall, run the 2x4 wall up, and then I can insulate that wall and get that so that that 15-degree delta is more like a 35-degree delta by framing that wall in front of it. And I could do that at will when I go to finish off the basement. It's just not in the initial scope, because that's something that can be done post insulation of slab and or wall. Whereas the insulation underneath here, I get one chance at it, just one. So I got to get it right. So we put 2. Occasionally, 2 layers of 2 inch, sorry. Occasionally, we'll value engineer the lower layer out, right? So if you're looking for, how do I deplete the concept? Well, the first way to deplete the concept, and I'm not saying that I'm in favor of this, I'm just saying we've had cases where we've had to value engineer, and we take out the lower level and we just run 2 inches across the top of the slab and then 2 inches up the face of the slab. We still get that isolation of the slab from the ground here, and we still maintain that 15-degree delta. We're just battling it with 2 inches of insulation, not 4 inches. The insulation type, here we called for type 9. I know in the video we used XPS. We aren't using XPS underneath the slab there, but it was all we could get our hands on for the mock-up to shoot the video. But the type 9 EPS is one that's rated for ground contact, right? So that's why we use it. Basically, it's not going to rot. It's not going to fall apart because it's connected to the ground. And oh, by the way, if we have good drainage here, like you saw in last week's video, we're whisking that water away anyways. So we shouldn't have a challenge there. But the type 9, it's rated for ground contact. Sometimes we substitute that again. It comes down to, especially in the latter couple years, getting your hands on different things become a challenge. So putting something under there, we also have used Subterra. It's by Halo. You might have seen that if you watched the build show build with Jake and I. We used their product as sub-slab insulation as well as the insulation that we ran up the wall. So it's a one-for-one exchange in my eyes with the type 9. But the key here is, water management, right? That's always number one on our control layers. And we talked about that again, last week's video. Go check it out. We talked about it. 2, air tightness. Well, the ground doesn't really bleed a whole lot of air. I know some people get all nervous about it, but I don't. Because we've done blower door tests without the slab in, and the ground just doesn't bleed air like some people may think it does. Anyways, the the thermal control, well, that's the key, right? We want to get continuity. And when you look at this and you color it in, you get to see really nice, my favorite word in building science, right? Continuity. And if you have thermal continuity, then that means you've got the full jacket and it's applied and working well for you. And if you can, because we only get one shot at it, double it up under there. So anyways, basement insulation. The takeaways, you only get one shot to do it. Make sure it's continuous and hit it hard. All right. So Big Red's work here is done. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. It's a pretty quick down and dirty. Let's put insulation under it. You know, the one thing I can't stress enough about sub-slab insulation is you only get one chance to do it. And believe it or not, in my 30 years, I probably have, I don't know, I would say maybe about 8 or 9 times we've dug the slab out of a basement and insulated it and reapplied a new slab. So you only get one chance. Doing it after the fact, it's not a cheap venture at all. Anyways, that being said, if you're looking for more, Instagram, Steve Basic Architect. Find me, follow me, and check out those posts. I put up stuff all the time, stuff for you to go check out. Obviously, Build Show Network, you're here. Go check out the whole catalog of videos that I have. Well over a year. Science says watch them 7 times to really grasp the content. So go check that out. If you're looking for more even beyond that, you can find me on the Unbuild It podcast, where I team up with good buddies Jake and Peter. And we talk all about building. And, you know, check out Matt's podcast too here on the Build Show Network. I'm on there a whole bunch of times, chatting it up with my good buddy Matt. And, yeah, talking building. Who doesn't love a conversation about building? With that, long live our buildings.